I got 3 judges. They can sit right up here. It's David Eckelhawk, Eugene Big Soldier, and Roy Childs. Those guys are scary enough on their own. They're going to judge today. They was telling me they're not related to anybody out here. So. All right, this is one of the oldest traditions through Indian country, which is storytelling. And today we've got some good storytellers here. And so, anyway, again, we want to make an announcement. We're not responsible for marked up O's or twisted N's or anything like that today. So, you get scared on your own, clench up. That's on you. We're not responsible for that. Don't be sending us no bills. People will not pay for that. Scoring up O's. Serious claims today. At this time, we're going to go with our first storyteller, Denise Miller from Pawnee, Oklahoma. She's Pawnee and Caddo.
It's called Prelude to the Apocalypse. Odes to Pharaoh in the Oil Pig Era by the Grim Reaper. Because from what I read, it's pretty damn ridiculous. Light doth my Pharaoh I see in my mind's eye. How's thy plight as allotments replaced in names of the just? What destiny of battle today do we trust? Everything is wrong, dead, or almost gone. They're all turned to spirits, but we live on, while trust fund management has its great day. What shall befall mankind in place of this trust? Death, wrath, or envy, or metal of rust? So who wants these metals in place of the earth? For mighty warriors, the angels do battle in skies of invisible borders where gold doesn't matter. Saints live on, but no, not the Pharaoh. Archangels hold steadfast, awaiting the call. The war was for good, then evil, then ever. While Pharaoh wins tribunals for war crimes upon the just, while blood still dripping from all glory, and no one but Pharaoh to tell the story. Yet not in sight, his chariot of fire one day will halt upon the earth, and the bloody red flag shall no longer be cursed. Sleep, little dead ones, just for a little longer, while we prepare the stage for the world's final battle. Hit snooze once more, stay sleep in the earth, thou shalt see what befall thy place of thy birth. Thy sweet home once called earth, we wait and wait, what a dreadful day cursed. Still no one comes to drive the big hearse. All are asleep by the Gentile curse, while the first ones tell them they were cursed first. Who knows all are dead, asleep or weep, who could lead this campaign? Pale chrome rider sings, here's to you, sweet Pharaoh, southern sovereign son, a chariot of fire, rolling thunder, he sings, it runs toward the horizon like a big red ring. His thunder and lightning they left in this place for this curse, for this trust fund and lust of the earth. Left to die in the rust for the lust of the lost and the blood of curse. Oh, glory still ringing, yet no one now singing. Covet not, old sacred spirits of fire, wind, lightning, thunder, and sea. You're only killing for your mother, will they ever see. Hell's bells ringing, the mighty chariot of fire roars and halts to the earth with only white noise, hardly detectable by earth. When he steps off with roaring, he walks like wind-blown fires. Each step does he take, the meaner as thunder and lightning devours. Oh, gold curse is burning, yet not even screaming, fires go through him. His reaper of God, whoever knew that the reaper came as a soldier of God. Now what does he want, life, death, or does it matter? We've asked the Pharaoh, what befell mankind to break sacred trust in the place of our birth in the name of the Father? Pharaoh said, in place of the trust they turned their lust and sacrificed earth. Reaper asked, whatever happened to the golden rule? No one ever kept it or no one ever knew. Pharaoh sadly answered, they bought it and sold it for the red, white, and blue. Pharaoh conversed to Reaper this way for a moment, then asked, what doth Reaper's fee today? All things are gone, what doth my fee matter, said Reaper to he. Pharaoh tells Reaper, all is not chaos, and earth does too matter. Trust fund management shall have its dog's day. Pharaoh delegates Reaper's campaign this way, for the sake of this blessed day. Pharaoh kept it in spite of the pain, kept all this time he refrained, kept it for Reaper in his cursed day's pay. Pharaoh gives Reaper his task, rid this curse upon the earth, leave only the truth. Pharaoh said to Reaper, leave that one only constant, that one only matter. They need a real liar to assign Reaper's power. Pharaoh said to Reaper, leave that one only one, the matter of truth that there'd be instead of earth. Wish are going to portray death's wedding shower. Rude people go on and see what's the matter, awakened by Satan, the tears take off as they try changing their colors. Only the worth of truth doesn't matter. The elements shall melt when hell's bells begin ringing, for this bond of friendship extends across the matter. Pharaoh joins Reaper for the pleasurable harvest of the evil Gentiles. Get ready to wake, sleepy dead, for they shall see the great final battle, and all from our kind, loving, warm Father shatter. Just scare the hell out of me.
That was pretty good. All right, go out and vote.
Good job.
All right, our next contestant. She comes from Otoe. Comes from straight out of Red Rock. Got a story.
Hey, right there, Chris. That's scary.
She got stories. Gonna make you cry here in just a second. So we're gonna lock the doors. Try and take time over to Pharabe.
Now I forgot it.
Oh, my grandpa was Herman Littletrod. He worked here, and he came to take care of the agency building. I don't know where it is now, so over there, that big old red building. And they were going to go home for lunch. This is where y'all were at, I think. Anyway, him and Sam, was there Sam Bassett? Well, they were walking across here, getting ready to go, and they got down by the road. And some dogs was barking at those horses. And they started hitting at those horses, and those dogs ran, and they ran across the road. And they turned around and to bark at that wagon. And here those dogs had human faces. And I didn't know if that was the kind of story you're supposed to tell. But that's true.
All right, let's give her a round of applause. Boy was so scared, Mike didn't want to pick up on it. Judges, are you guys hearing these stories? All right. I think we got the mic fixed. I think Alan had to leave, so he's disqualified. He got blowed up. So he done heard those first two stories, and that was too much.
Tap down.
Okay. All the way from White Eagle, Oklahoma. Grew up around that way. It's Otis Skeleton Warrior. No.
I don't really have a real scary story, but it's a true one that happened to me.
I didn't know we had to do that.
I hear that, been gonna hear these stories, and some of them are probably passed down. But this is something that happened to me personally. And I was taught not to be afraid of things, so it really isn't too scary for me. It may not be for you either, but this really happened. One time I was riding around, and I always heard stories and about different things that happen through our tribes and different families, and I never had anything happen to me, and I wanted to experience something. And that right off the bat, everyone's saying, no, you shouldn't do that. Well, that's what I did. I went looking. And I was riding around, and they said, don't be going around that cemetery. And so what? First thing I did, I headed to the cemetery. And I went and I circled it, that outer road that goes around them graves. I circled it around. And I came back through again. And I was leaving. And just as I was coming out that western gate there, my car, I had my radio on and everything, and here my car lost total power. Just everything, my lights went out and everything, right there at the gate. I turned off my lights and started my car up, and it started right up. And I turned my lights on, and my radio came on and everything, and I put it in gear, and then I left. And I went home and I told my dad about it, and of course he jumped me out for going out there. He said, "You got no business bothering those people out there." He said, "You're not supposed to be bothering them." But I was young and stupid, and so I went out there, and that's what happened to me. But again, it's not really a scary story, but it's a true story, and it did happen to me. I have other stories like that. That's happened to me over here at the Culture Building, and this road north of the casino, down the road there. I've got stories of those, but I guess we're only to tell one, so that's the one story that I chose to pick. But those stories also happened to me. So, but anyway, that's my story. I take it.
All right, that was pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, now we have a demonstration from our three witches over here. Our next storyteller is Tina. She's from Otoe-Missouria, but she's from Burr Hill. All right.
First I have to say dirty. Well, this happened to me and my aunt, so I had witness to what went on at Burr Hill. I've lived there all my life, and things happen that you say, well, what was that or what is that? But this happened to me and my aunt one hot summer night. I just put my kids to bed, and I told my auntie, I said, let's go sit outside, it's hot in here. So we went out, and we had a long bench there, and I sat on the porch on the steps, and my aunt went to the bench. Took her a long time to lay down. Boy, she was trying, she was grunting. She laid down, and so we were talking and laughing, and all at once she said, what is that? And I stopped in mid-sentence, and if anybody's been to Burr Hill, you'll see there's a light pole in my front yard, and behind that light pole is nothing but timber, timber for long ways. And behind that light pole, there was something, started from a deep growl, you could hear it. And then it come up to a scream, like a woman's scream, but it was loud. I told my aunt afterwards, I said, Dad, I feel like that cartoon where your hair just flies back when that loud noise hits your face. And it took her a long time to get down, but it took her 2.1 seconds to get up. Her and I hit that front door same time, and when we hit that door, it screamed again. And so I ran in, and Auntie stood by the door, and I ran to the back to get the rifle. By the time I come back, she said, it's gone. She said, I hear it. It's going down the Timberline. She said, I can hear it, it sounds like people talking, but she said, I think it's growling. So we stayed in, I didn't care how hot it was. We stayed in, and we sat at the table, and I'd look at her and I'd say, Auntie, what was that? And she'd say, I don't know, and she'd kind of laugh. So my mom and them came home, and my dad said it was, a cat. So I told him, I said, Dad, there ain't no cat can scream that loud. I mean, this was loud. I said, then it'd go down to a growl. But I had a witness to that. That's my auntie. Charlene lives, so if you ever see her, ask her about it. She'll tell you.
All right, we got a special guest in the house, Ponca Nation Princess. Call her up just to say a few words. Let's give her a round of applause.
This is my grandma here. Hello everyone, I'm very excited to be here today. My name is Mika Awi in the Ponca language. My name is Elena Marie Herrera. I am the 2018-2019 Ponca Tribal Princess. And I got a little lost here, so I'm sorry I'm a little late. But I'm very excited to be here and excited to hear all your stories. Picture. Thank you. All right, thank you all.
All right. Oh, I know we got to skip around just a second. We're going to go to Linda Francis. She is just scary. No. She's from Otoe-Missouria. Straight out of Red Rock. She said, guaranteed to spook you today.
I've got a sale going on over there, so I got to get back. Okay, picture it. 2002. I was over there at the casino when it first started, and I was the manager of the vault. And every time we would have to go outside, the surveillance was right there by the door. And when we go out, we have to say, we're going to the bathroom, or we're going out in the front, get something to drink. And so we were going out, and the surveillance person in there, he said, come here, you guys, come here. I want to show you something. And I was like, oh, God, what's he looking at now? So we went on in, and he said, okay, so he had that surveillance on there, and he ran that back. And he said, okay, watch this now. And on one side, that's when they just had a big old counter there. On one side was Bridget Adams and Bobby Murray Jr., and there was another cashier on this other side. I don't remember who it was. And he said, okay, you guys watch this. And so they were talking, and pretty soon Bridget goes like that. You know, somebody, she went like that. And then they started talking again, and the next time you couldn't see the hand, but you could see them go like that, pull her hair back, and she goes like that, and she turns around and looks at Bobby Murray, you know, like wondering if he's the one that did that. And he said, no. So there's a lot of spooks over there. But that was the only thing that I had seen over there that, you know, that gave me chills. So anyway, be real safe when you go over and gamble. Make sure nobody's sitting beside you.
All right, that was a good one. Good one. Okay, this guy, you see him all over Indian country. He's at every dinner, every meal. Got those sad eyes. Give you that look, boy, just make you Throw that chicken bone at him. Deswood Koshaway. Otoe.
I'm gonna tell you about 6 of them rolled up into 5 minutes if I can. But they said 5 minutes. The first one, I guess y'all know the river down there. Yeah, it's called the Island. My aunt's husband, she's been married to this white guy, and he's like the fish. So they lived in Oklahoma City. They came up that one weekend, and he'd always fish at nighttime. So he went down the island down to go fishing, and was out all night. And next morning, he was eating breakfast with my grandparents, and he said he said while he was sitting there, I guess that night at that down by the river, that creek maybe, at nighttime, he said he heard somebody laughing on the other side of the bank, and he didn't know what it was, but he used to like to fish all the time. But it was late at night, and he heard somebody laughing on the other side of the bank, and that was kind of one of them. The other one is my grandpa said don't be going down to the river at night. So there's strange things that happen down there. And a couple of times when I was young, we used to hang around down the river. One time we was down there, and my car wouldn't start. It was perfectly when I turned it off, but when I got ready to go, it wouldn't start. So I started walking back across that field. There used to be an old house that's back in that field there. I think it was a 2-story. All the windows was out. It was just an old house. And Uncle Vernon he said his truck wouldn't start one time, so he had to walk back the same way. That there's a little road that goes back, coming up towards this way. And he said when he was walking, he heard some people in that old house there making noise. He said I knew it was empty, but there was people in there. He said you could hear them talking, making noise in that house. But when I was walking, I just kept on walking. It's like I had blinders on. I just kept on walking. And I didn't want to know, because I remember him telling me that. And I don't know, Addie knows about that. And anyway, at the same time, we was fishing when Linda was there that time. We was down and we was kind of get away from the house. We all kind of went down to GK and Herman and her ex-husband and Linda. We were small. We went down about the little creek there. We just kind of threw a couple poles in there just to get away from the house because it was summertime. There's a little fire going on, and you can see that fire. The creek was kind of big. You can see that fire so far out. It was dark. Anyway, on the other side, you can hear something cracking, like somebody put some wood up against another log and just cracked it. It's kind of loud. It's not way down, and it kept on coming on that side. And I kind of paid attention to it. I'd stop, and we was little guys, we was kind of playing around. And then pretty soon it got on this side, and it kept on coming, making louder and louder noise. And pretty soon you couldn't see it because the fire was so far out, the firelight. It kept on coming. It's like it got on this side, and it came, started cracking that wood. Something big, seems like. About that time, then GK and all them, and Herman, and then his ex-husband, all took off. Just left this little one standing around. They all jumped in they jumped in that van, and then they said, grab them little ones. We all jumped in, we left that fire going in the two fishing posts and came back up the next day. But we don't know what it was, but we all just jumped in that van and took off. Went back. And like I said, don't be down there at the river because there's strange things that goes on down there. Anyway, have anybody heard about that little woman? They said that one time that little woman was she was catching a ride over there. Must have been catching a ride over there by I think they said coming out of Pawnee when the preacher man picked her up, got her in the back, was talking to her, and she was going to preach at Ponca, I think they said. Anyway, this is kind of an old story. You guys might have heard of it. And so when he asked her where she was going, she said up the road there. So when they got up the road, about what she wanted off, he said, looked in the back. He said, well, we're pulling up to your stop. Let you off. And looked in the back, and that little lady wasn't there. Little old lady. And there was another, they said they seen her here by the bridge over here at one time. And then there was another person said she came knocking on somebody's door at the village late at night. That lady opened up the door, because that little old lady was standing out in the front. And she said, "What you want?" She said, "I come after you." So that lady just shut that door. These are just kind of little short stories. And to what she was saying about that, about where you lived at, I heard something similar to that. There was a man, and I think he had a dog. He said the dog was pretty mean. He said there was something about, he was out there outside. That dog started barking, and he said that it was down there going into that. He lived down by the river, and it was down in that area. He said that dog took off. He said the dog was pretty mean. He wasn't scared of nothing. So he went and followed that dog down that little path. He said pretty soon that dog come running back up. Just passed it, kept on going. He said he didn't know what it was either. He said he just turned around and went on back. So that's kind of related to what she was saying. And there was one more about skinwalker. Y'all heard of skinwalkers? We lived out in Albuquerque one time, New Mexico, Gallup. And my dad and him was playing cards, and that's kind of, boozing, and they said there was another bottle in the front seat of the car, so they told that one man to go, him and his wife was out on the porch, told her to go get it. They told him where it was at. It was in the kitchen there. So he went over to that truck. As he was putting his hands on it, he said it was moonlight, he would start looking around. He said as he looked up, there was a man with a hairy face on the other side of it, looking at him. And that man turned, or that person turned, and there was an open field on the other side of our road there. So he went that way, went across that field. But it was an open field, it was just a little sagebrush. If y'all been out to New Mexico, Arizona, there's a little sagebrush there, no trees, or there's trees, but not where that was at. It was an open field, and there's a little hill there. You go that hill. He said it went up over that hill, walked up over that hill, went on the other side, so he could have followed it, kind of chased it away, I guess you might say. But as he got on the hill, there was moonlight. He said, but when he got up on the hill, you could see all out in that empty field there. He said, whatever it was, it turned back into a little dog, and whatever it was, a wolf or something, coyote. He said, scampered off. He couldn't see no person walking. These are just little short stories. And I think Otis had one about the footsteps in front of the agency one time. I heard them too when I used to work at the agency a long time ago in the early 70s. It was during the daylight or toward the evening. I kind of drove up. I was coming in the gateway. There used to be a fence there. There used to be a little sidewalk right there. I know there wasn't nobody around as I was coming through that gate. I heard somebody walking, just like about 5 steps. So I stopped and turned, looked to my right. I didn't see anybody around. I told Grandpa Raymond Butler about it. He kind of laughed. You heard those footsteps? I said, yeah. Yeah, they always say there's some footsteps in front of the agency there. But there was just only about 5 or 4 of them. You could hear them. Let them real big. But I got a bunch of other little short stories, but that's all for now.
All right, that's good. Well, he was going on so much, he made Candice have an accident already. Yeah, calm down, guys. All right, we got some visitors from Iowa country. We got full-blooded Iowa lady. Kent, you mind coming up, saying a few words? Story. She's here representing her program and her nation.
Hello, my name is Kitty Hano. I'm from the Iowa Trauma Victim Services Unit in Perkins. We just want to come up here and visit and just tell a little bit about our programs. We do have a sexual assault and tribal government programs that does help with victims of domestic violence and sexual assault. We also help with minors for both Native and non-Native. If you know anybody or maybe somebody needs help, it takes a lot for somebody to step up to get out of that situation. It's not an easy situation to get out of. But we just came by to come visit. We'll have some pamphlets out later if you want to come by and just say hi or ask more questions. So I'll turn it back to Chris.
That way they know you work.
Thank you.
All righty. Next on the lineup, he resides from Ponca, from White Eagle, Henry Rod. All right.
I just kind of came down there to hear what y'all have to say in your ghost stories because I'm a really big fan of ghost stories. A lot of stuff happened to me. I have a bunch of ghost stories actually. I know we're supposed to just share one, but it's kind of hard for me to pick one. But I did like her story earlier though, about those dogs with faces. Yeah. Like I said, I just came down. I just came down here to hear some of what all y'all had. I'm a big fan of ghost stories. I have a lot of stuff happen to me ever since I was a little guy. And I did like your ghost story earlier about those faces with dogs. That was whatever, because so I'm kind of nervous. I don't like talking in front of a crowd. Usually I tell my ghost stories to my friends and family. But there is a story what those Ponkas have. I know some of you might know it, but that church up there in Methodist, that building behind it, back then, I can't remember that preacher and his wife's name, but one night they had a dog chained up outside, and is it Abraham Jackson? Okay, well, I don't know, but one night that preacher's wife got up because they kept hearing that dog bark, and she got up, tried to wake her husband up. My mom told me this story, my grandma and all them. It's one of my favorites, but they kept hearing that dog bark, and so she got up to check on it. And when she did, she said she seen this big owl sitting out there, big white owl. And so when that thing turned around, it had a human's face on it. I was like, man, that's scary. But man, I have so many to tell, to be honest. But I'm gonna go with. I was always told to stay away from those East Timbers down there, up there in the res. And this was about a year ago. I was out drinking out there with some friends, and we was way in the back out there by that oil rig. And I went to the phone. I went and sat in my car and I was using my texting on my phone. And I'm trying to make this short. There's actually 3 parts to it, but and I was sending a text and it was a pretty clear night out. Moon was out, pretty bright. Could see the Timberline and everything. There's probably just about 4 of us out there drinking, and I was really sending a text to my friend. And I don't know if you guys ever get that feeling when something's just looking at you. And so I kind of got that feeling, and I was kind of buzzy. And so I just happened to look up, and there was this big tall man. He was taller than me, and he was sitting there just looking at me. And I flipped out, turned my brights on. As soon as my friends heard me, and I flipped that bright on, so watch that thing just run across that Timberline, just start off. And I don't know, back then I never went back there ever again. I don't ever plan on going back there, and I learned my lesson. I was always told to stay away from those East Timbers, and I just never went back there. And the other part of my story is also that my mom told me it was probably that the Spunka's got a word for it. It's
What are you trying to say?
I can't remember. It's they refer to it as a jokester, this little ugly creature that likes to tease you and play with you and just mess with you. And there was another time. This just happened about 3 months ago. I was out cruising one night. It's probably about 12:01. I was cruising down the East Road, smoking a cigarette, and I was coming up that one big hill. I had my brights on. I was sitting down messing with my radio. I was happening to look up, and I seen this thing like standing on the side of the road. Kind of, I was like, "What the heck is that?" And I kind of stopped for a second, and it was like, it was sitting there just like, I see like half of its body just looking out at me. And I was like, in those weeds, and I was like, what the hell? And so I was like, spread up a little bit, so when I did, that thing just like stepped off to the side real fast. And I was like, man, I was like, I don't like cruising, I don't ever like going up those east roads. I don't even go out there and hunt for mushrooms, there's all kinds of, that's crazy out there. I'm like going out there. That's scary stuff. Yeah, that's my ghost story. Yeah, more.
All right, those have been pretty good stories. I crack up because I'm hearing all these Poncas tell about these stories about drinking and women with dog faces. Their calls are saying, man, we married them. Our next storyteller is, again, out of White Eagle, Oklahoma, Ponca. Her name is Candice Rhodd.
I'm pretty nervous right now. I just want to share a story about 2 years ago, maybe 3, whenever I worked at Otoe-Missouria Police Department. I had also lived in Ponca City, and I used to drive back and forth to work. I was renting an apartment from Copper Ridge in Ponca City, and at the same time I was doing my part-time psychic medium business, and I had a phone call from this woman from Utah, and she had asked me to talk with her about these situations that her granddaughter was kind of going through. Her granddaughter was 17 years old. From what they were telling me, she couldn't walk, she couldn't talk, like she had been going through that for like 4 years. So they're like really concerned for her health and her well-being, and it got to the point to where they couldn't work, they had to take care of her, and the mother just couldn't handle taking care of the daughter anymore, so they turned her over to the grandmother in Arizona. And my grandma told me, you know, we've taken her different places, we've had different people pray for her. So they had wanted to know a little bit more information about the situation. So this is the scariest thing that ever I had to experience in my life. It's not actually like a ghost story, but it's an experience that I had to encounter for this family when they wanted to know more information. So when I had done the reading for her, I had found out that there is a man that was praying, sending out bad spirits to this little girl. That spirit would touch her spirit and she would just fall down. So in a way, he was like doing that to her. Because we have our children and they're innocent, sometimes people prey on them like that way. And, you know, they're like, well, we can't make this person stop, you know. He's from the same nation we are. He's into all these negative things, and we've gone from place to place where we're so exhausted. So from what I can see what this guy was doing, he was just really gross, really nasty with the way that he was doing things. And from what I could see, you know, there's a lot of shape-shifting, there's a lot of just finding ways to obtain this little girl's clothing, you know, just different things, you know. To me, that's a witch. To me, that's somebody that is just, you know, very sick in the head, you know, to pray like that way for a little girl. So we had done prayers for that little girl, and then ever since then, at that apartment, whenever I would go outside, you know, there would always be a voice that would say, hey you, you know, to the point to where I was so scared to come outside at nighttime, go back inside. I would have to call my daughter-in-law, come downstairs to get me, because it was just around the apartment building. It would talk from the 3rd floor, and like my kids, my oldest son, he was like running up the stairs about to cry because this thing was saying, hey you, come here. And then I just got to the point that, you know, everywhere we went, this voice followed us. I went to my mom's house, and, you know, we were checking on it, you know, the electricity was out. had to go grab a few things, and my son came out screaming and crying. My son's like 19 years old, so he was about 16 years ago, he's 16 years old, a couple years ago. And, it took a lot of praying and praying for this voice to quit following us, wherever we went. So, just, in other words, I don't dabble with the psychic medium stuff no more. I'm out of it. Well, that's my scary experience.
All right. These stories have been pretty good. They always say, save the best for last. This guy's coming again out of White Eagle, Oklahoma. He said he's seen things that can't even explain. So, anyway, we're calling upon Mr. Micheal Snake.
Hello, everybody. First of all, my last name ain't Snake, it's Wace. I had it changed to Wace 3 years ago, so get that off me. Hello, everybody. I really want to come down here, but my granddaughter talked to me and coming down here and doing this anyway. I don't believe much in ghosts, witches, shapeshifters, skinwalkers, little people, all that, and pretty much all the stories I've heard, especially with my band here, I've heard them all since I was little. But I'll just tell you something that I experienced once. Marine Corps veteran, just came back from, just got discharged from Marine Corps in 2005. Yeah, thank you. I'm a Marine. Nothing on the face of this planet scares me. So, but this one time when I went back to work for the White Eagle Police Department, Ponca's. Trying to look at here. Hey, Brandon. Good to see you. Ghost stories, little stories I heard all throughout the years. Throughout the years and decades, that kind of change and snowball effect and pick up. I think the only one that might know what I might be talking about is Otis, Because back in that day, in that culture, not the culture building, but the casino, they always talked about a little girl running around a parking lot. So I heard that story since the 90s, mid-90s, and so basically 10 years later, I'm cruising around White Eagle in a cop car, driving around. Then I go to the power grounds, I don't know why. Y'all know been up Ponca Power Grounds before. You know how that arena's all set up, the river where it's at, and then my crazy self decides to just pull in back toward the riverbank, park, turn the lights off, shut the car off. I just sit there listening to the radio and on the phone listening. But after 3 o'clock in the morning, now again, I believe in nothing. Marie came back from Iraq and, we all, all happened over there. So I'm just sitting there, and all of a sudden, I'm just sitting in a car, and then I'm playing on the phone, and all of a sudden this little girl walks up right beside the door. When you sit in the car, and little girl, you can see that. And I see her right up on my peripheral, And my first reaction was like, oh, Then my second, third, fourth, well, goddamn, this ain't right. And I knew right then I wasn't a living human being or something. And the first response for me, I was slow one trying to grab my service weapon, firearm, and snap and get ready, but what's gonna do against a little son at this time of the night? They're not supposed to be here, that's not human. And she asked me, can you come outside and play? And when I heard that, every hair and goosebump on my body just shut up. I want to run out of there. So we all seen scary movies, what ghosts do, take their have their way with people, they freeze you and all that. The worst thing you could think of, that went through my mind. So I just told her, no, sorry, can't. I'm busy. So she steps back away from the car a little bit and just still standing there. Of course, I don't turn and look at it. I want to, but I didn't want to at that time because I don't know what's going to happen and how it's going to go. But also, I put my foot on the brake light to kind of illuminate everything a little bit, see if there's other people around, which I don't see. So I slowly turn keys on ignition, turn everything on. Just like that, I'll haul ass out of there to the top, right by the Methodist church. Stop and look around and thought to myself, what the hell was that? What the? So since this day, again, I never cruise the power grids by myself. And if I do, I make sure I got people with me. So, and every time I go down there, I think of that. So if that's a ghost story or not, I don't know, so I'll leave it up to you, and I can take you guys to that same exact spot where I seen that little girl. That's it.
All right, let's give all of our storytellers a round of applause. I think they all did a good job.